Well, welcome back. It's been about 6 months since I talked to you guys, since the 6-month update on my FUE hair transplant procedure results. And today is the 1-year mark of that procedure. So we're going to get into exactly what I've gone through the last year and all the details, all the questions, all the answers, all the concerns, and get you guys the information that you need, that you're looking for, and exactly why you came to this video. So let's get into that. So anyone who has not seen my previous videos, I would recommend going back to those to see exactly in chronological order the journey that I've gone through. I did a 1-day post-procedure video, a 1 month, actually a 1 week, a 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, 6 month, and today is the 1 year. So if you haven't checked those out, there's going to be a lot more answers to your questions in those videos as well. So I'll leave a link up here, I think, so you can go and watch those and learn a lot more in those. Today I'm going to briefly summarize kind of this whole process that I've gone through and the main questions and concerns and answers that you guys need. So the reason that I decided to have a FUE hair transplant, which is a follicular unit extraction transplant hair procedure, where they take hundreds, if not thousands, of follicles from the back of your head as donor hair and replace them into the area that you're losing the hair, either on the front hairline or the top of the scalp, or both. In my case, it was a little bit of both. The reason I've done that is because I was not happy with the way I looked and losing hair in what I thought was way too soon. Being 27 at the time, I'm 28 now, I decided I was not ready to lose the fight to hair loss and just call it quits and throw in the towel and be a bald guy. Now, for a lot of people, that is a totally fair move, and a lot of people can pull that off. I just decided personally myself, that wasn't me, at least not this early on. And so I'm a person that wants hair. And so I decided that it was worth the cost to actually keep that hair, or I guess retrieve the hair into the areas I wanted it. So this is the result of 12 months post-procedure from that hair transplant procedure. For me, the cost was about $13,500 for 2,400 grafts. What I've heard is that's pretty expensive, and I think the reason for that was the experience and expertise and the prestige of the doctor that did my procedure, as well as being in Colorado, where everything is a little bit more expensive compared to the rest of the country and probably the rest of the world as well. So that was pretty pricey for my liking, but again, I decided that just about any price I can find would be worth it for what it was to mean for me. And I have a lot of goals that I want to accomplish with my aesthetics being involved, including modeling, more YouTube, a lot of music performance type of stuff. I've had a few photo shoots where I've been paid, so that was professional modeling, which I want to seek out and accept a lot more of. And to do that, there is a level of needs and expectation from people that are offering those types of opportunities, and I wasn't going to be ignorant to that fact. So I've decided this would be worth it for that reason as well. Obviously, for a lot of guys, especially single, the dating aspect, the attraction aspect is a big consideration as well. And I'm single as of a little over a year ago, and I'm in my late 20s. I figured this is the kind of time of my life where I want to be at the peak of my aesthetic, potential. And so I decided it was a good time for that as well, as far as the dating and attraction aspect goes. So for me, it's pretty much all those reasons. But the biggest one being my own comfort and confidence just out in the world, you know, whether it's the gym, restaurants, going to social events, going to concerts. You know, I just wanted to be comfortable in how I look without having to cover it up everywhere I go. And that's exactly what I was doing. Everywhere I would go, I'd be wearing a hat, other than work, where I just can't really professionally do that. Being a mechanical engineer just wasn't an option. Everywhere else, I would cover that receding head of hair just because I didn't like the way it looked, and assumed that no one else would like the way it looked either. And so that's not how I wanted to keep living, keep going out in the world and feeling every day. And I tried to fight that and tried to just, you know, live with it. And it just, for me personally, wasn't working out. And I know a lot of guys who are completely comfortable in their own skin and their own hair, whether it's going away or not. And for me, it was just really difficult to be able to do that. I think with how young I am, and how much hair I was losing so quickly, I just decided that wasn't an option for me. And maybe that's a flaw of mine, could be, but either way, after the procedure and year's results, I feel way more confident and comfortable. I almost never wear a hat anymore, unless it's just to stay warm with a beanie. And I basically look like this everywhere I go. I do up my hair with some gel, and I feel like anyone can see me, and I'll be fine with it. So it's a complete 180 direction turn from what it was a year ago. Some of the main questions people have are, how much does it cost? Which again, I explained a little bit. In most cases, it's probably going to be between 4 to 10 grand for most people. For me, it was a little bit more. I explained why. So it's definitely an investment that you have to be willing to make in order to achieve this. Another question that's asked frequently is it painful? And my answer to that was minimally. They do everything they can to reduce the amount of pain that you have to take on during the procedure, with a lot of numbing shots. And that's really the only painful part of the procedure is the needle that numbs your scalp, so that they can actually do the procedure without pain. So that's the worst part of it. And there's only a little bit of pain depending on kind of your own body after the procedure's done, you know, up to a few days, you know. I think the following day is usually a little bit rough, but not unbearable. You know, for me, it was hardly a thought. And after that, there's, you know, nothing, no pain at all. Another common question I get from you guys watching in the comments is, do you take any medications such as Finasteride, Propecia, to retain your hair or prevent hair loss? And the answer is yes. I take a supplement called Finasteride, which is basically a pill that's prescribed by my doctor that blocks DHT in the scalp, dihydrotestosterone, which is a chemical that essentially murders your follicles. And so that I've taken for probably over 2 years at this point. And the reason being that basically saves my hair from being suffocated by dihydrotestosterone. And the first doctor I went to for a consultation out of the two, she asked me if I was taking Finasteride, and I had said yes, and for about 2 years. And she said, that's good, because if you hadn't, you would have lost a lot more hair. So the purpose of Finasteride, or Propecia, is to save you from more hair loss. It doesn't necessarily bring back hair that's already gone. And that's another common misconception is, can you regrow hair that's already been gone? Hair regrowth is a lot less common than hair sustenance or hair retaining. Once a hair follicle is officially dead, there's no regrowing the hair from that follicle. Now, a lot of times the follicle is almost dead, and therefore the hair being almost invisible, but supplements like Finasteride and taking topical solutions like Minoxidil and or Rogaine can revive those follicles that appear to be almost dead. So what I would recommend for anyone that's, in my position I was a year ago before the procedure is, if you're losing hair or if you've lost a lot of hair already, do whatever it takes or whatever you have availability to before deciding that you're going to do a procedure, meaning starting now, figure out how to start taking Finasteride and Minoxidil, Rogaine, in all the ways that you can actually prevent more hair loss. Now again, I'm not a medical expert, I'm not a doctor. I can't tell you based on your own body what's safe to take and what's not. You should ask your doctor what you should be doing. But as far as Finasteride goes, the main question that people get on that is, are there any side effects? Are there any negative effects to taking it? And what I've heard is about 1% or a little less people that take Finasteride have some potential sex drive side effects and or depression side effects, in which case for me I don't think that would be worth it if I was to find out I had those side effects. Luckily I was not one of those 1%. So I've been taking Finasteride for a long time and probably will for the rest of my life, because without it my genetics will take over and continue to attack my hair follicles. And another method that I do to try and basically just promote hair growth in the hair that I have on my head and promote healthy, blood flow, is I use a derma roller, which I've talked about in another video. And that's basically a tiny roller with a ton of tiny little needles that you take and you roll across the top of your scalp and in your hairline. And what that does is basically opens up those follicles to create blood flow. And so blood flow is what you need, amongst other things, to promote healthy follicles that can thrive and grow. Now again, this doesn't mean that you can revive dead follicles, but it will help you to have healthy hair where you still have it. Wherever you do decide to get your procedure done, if you so choose, make sure that this is a very well-renowned doctor with a lot of experience, a lot of good ratings, very trusted and very qualified. And if you can follow all those to the T, then you have probably no concern with the result. Another thing that's been pointed out to me is maybe my expectation for what I had on my procedure, as far as the results go that I hoped for, is not going to happen. And what I've come to realize is the clinic that did my procedure, they were doing a very conservative, safe approach based on my age and my genetic disadvantage of losing hair, and how early it was for me to do a procedure and how early it was for me to be losing so much hair. They didn't want to go and take as many follicles as possible in this first procedure and just assume it's said and done and taken care of for the rest of my life, which is unlikely. Now, I didn't really understand that going into it, but I do now, and it's appreciated, because the danger of doing too many follicles too soon in your first procedure at a young age is that your genetics may still be taking over as far as the hair loss goes later in life after your procedure. So you may have all this new, fresh, moved hair from a procedure and then continue to lose hair around it just based on your kind of inevitable genetics. And so what my doctor chose to do is a relatively low amount of follicles at 2,400 over a relatively large space, which was basically this whole section here. Now that explains to me why my hairline didn't come out as thick and luscious as I expected. It's because she was using a large space with a low amount of follicles for a reason of caution, expecting that I will want and need another procedure in the future. Now in that second procedure, it's likely that I'll want to fill in the hairline a little bit more to look more pronounced, as well as take care of the crown area, which I didn't do in the first procedure. It wasn't a priority at the time. The main objective was what's most visible to everyone around me is this whole section up here. Now, when I do this second procedure, all this empty space you're seeing there, the thinness, will be taken care of, as well as filling in that hairline a bit thicker. So another thing I've learned is that it's actually pretty common for people to want and or need a second FUE or FUT procedure. And so I think I will personally wait another 3 to 5 years before deciding whether I want and need a second FUE hair transplant procedure. For me, I would only do an FUE, which is the follicular unit extraction, versus the FUT. And the difference is, in mine, they take all the follicles individually with a tiny tool from the back of your donor area, versus taking a large strip of the back of your scalp and laying that out and then drawing from that strip and then re-sewing that open wound closed. It didn't appeal to me to do an FUT knowing that there would be a scar in the back of my head relative to whether my hair would cover it up or not. I just didn't want to go that route. With the FUE, you may have scars, but they're all the size of the tool that extracts the follicle, and they're very, very small, and in most cases they actually disappear with time, so you can never even see them if you chose to shave your head. So guys, my intention with this video was to basically just give you a rundown of what I've experienced over the last year, my expectation versus the results, and hopefully answer the questions that you've been needing answered. And if those aren't here in this video, just check out the other videos here and they will be in there. If not, please leave a comment. I will answer every question that I possibly can in the comments section. Next time may not be until my second procedure, but I still will be active down in the comments, so please keep that in mind. I just really appreciate you guys watching. I hope that you got the information you needed from this video. Wish you the best of luck on your procedure and hope it all goes well and exactly is what you hoped for. Stay healthy, live well, and I'll talk to you next time.